And good afternoon. Welcome to another edition of ACB Caribbean Coaches View. This afternoon we're going to speak to a legendary player and coach. But before we introduce this individual, we will tell you who the people who are making this program possible. Our platinum sponsor, ACB Caribbean, Simply Smarter Banking. For all your banking and financial needs, it's ACB Caribbean. Visit them today. Brands for Less, they are also our sponsors, along with Seeker Pharmacy. They're on High-End Temple Street. Digicel, the bigger, better network. Plumbing Electrical Limited. They are also there with us, located on the Herbert Spotters Main Road. Zen Body Care. Blue Mountain Water. Great tasting water. Pine Hill Juice. They have a variety of juices, large and small. The Hutchinson Wholesale on Sydney Wallen Highway is the agency for that. And Cool and Smooth, Market Street, east of the Market Complex. That's their location. So those are the people who make this program every Wednesday possible. We want to say thanks to them, and you do continue to support them, and you will be supporting us. So now let's introduce this gentleman, Ivor the Ninja Luke, and he has represented Antigua for a number of years, at a very, very good accounting of himself, you know, in soccer. Also locally, one of the guys that you would hear somebody call if you say who's one of the better defenders that you play against, the hardest man to get around. I never used to like him when I used to watch Liberty play because he gave us too much a hard time. But he's my friend now. We are very good individual. I want to say welcome to you, Ivor Luke.
Hey, thanks Kenneth, and thanks for inviting me. And you have to stand in line. There's a lot of people that never used to like me. There's a lot that don't know, I believe still. Maybe not so much now.
Well, you're in my heart. I actually adore you, Ivor, for the work that you have done and for the work that you continue to do. We're going to look at our coaching skill for today, just for the other coaches who are out there. Obviously, we have our coaching skills that we want to share with other coaches, because this program, when we leave at 4, we want to make sure that the coaches who are tuned in and even the other individuals, they would have taken something away from the coach's view. So let us look at our coaching skill for today, which is a very important one: how to make it fun. And I always think it is very important, and when we coach, we want to make sure that the adults or the young athletes, they enjoy the session. It is not about turning up and being strict and putting things in place that people are looking on their clock to see when are we going to leave. We want them to feel that it was an afternoon or morning session well spent, and they want to come back. So one of the things that we say to our coaches, one of the skills that we need to do is to make it fun. And we have 4 points that we identified here. Get them active quickly. You normally like to do that? Not having them sitting down and waiting and jogging out and so on?
Well, definitely, Kenneth, because you really need to get them up and going, get their interest up early. If you give them the opportunity and the interest wanes, then you will have a lot of problem going through your session.
Right, and the second one, provide variety as well as a challenge. So again, we want to give them different things to do. We want them to challenge themselves. We want them to challenge the coaches, and feel that it is an afternoon well spent.
Well, it's basically like if you do the same thing over, they tend to get bored.
Right.
And you just go through the motion rather than being challenged. You always have to change up the training, give a variety, so that every time they have to concentrate, and they have to concentrate, so it's not just muscle memory. you have your cognitive aspect have to come into it, because you're doing something different, and then you're doing something different and something challenging also.
Right. Maximize involvement as well as success. That's our third point. Maximize involvement as well as success. We see some coaches, they have the fellas there, and only certain people can do certain things.
Well, success will always let you want to achieve more, try harder, participate more. Because if there's an end result, if there's an ending where you can feel good, hey, I achieved this, I can do this, you start to feel better and more confident of yourself as a player.
Certainly. And our final point in how to make it fun, give positive feedback on effort as well as performances.
Again, if they don't enjoy themselves, they will not participate fully. They will not be enthused to come and participate. I mean, that's not fun. That's boring. Things like that. You have to give them some that excites them, and they will be always coming back and participating fully.
Right. So there we have it. Our coaching skill for today: how to make it fun. And remember that you can contact us at 776-2868. You can get 2866, my bad, 2866, and you can always ask for us to get these skills that we have here for you, so you can be better off yourselves at the end of the day. So Ivor Luke, so talk to us and tell us, why coaching?
Why I went into coaching?
Yes.
Well, it's a long story, but I'll try to make it as short as possible. I was coaching, I was playing for Lion Hill, and we were demoted to the first division. And we were in the first division for 3 seasons. We didn't come out till the 3rd season. And the 3rd season, I said, Lion, I'm not staying down there no more. So I went down to the park at the beginning of the season. I said, listen, I'm playing and coaching, and I'm coaching the team back to Premier, and when we get back to Premier, I'm retiring from playing football. And subsequently, that happened that same season. Maybe luckily, maybe with little skill too, we were promoted, and that was it for me in terms of playing. But I stuck with the coaching because I had a lot of experience playing for both Lion Hill, the national team, and I've gone through some good coaches and believe that I had a lot that I could give back to the developing player. And that's why I went into coaches, to give players opportunity to go as far or even further than I went.
Right, and obviously that was a calling. You felt that you had to step up, and you had to go and help your team both on the field and as the coach. Are we seeing a lot of that now these days? Are we seeing the past players, the people who have gone on to the highest heights, coming back and becoming coaches, making sure that the legacy continues, making sure that the quality of sports in Antigua and Barbuda continues? Are we seeing enough of that?
Sadly, no, Kenneth. There's a few of us, including yourself. To me, we call ourselves dinosaurs. Because with the dinosaurs, what happened to the dinosaurs? They're virtually extinct. There's a lot of people in all forms of different sport, the variety of sport, that when their time on the field and the courts are over, that's it. Sometimes you don't even know they played. Some of these persons have great ability, great skill set, and these are people who would be asset in terms of working with a coach, working with a team, working with a club or organization, because of the unique skill set that they have. And there's just not enough of us giving back.
So tell us, from your view, you have a lot of discussions with a lot of people. You watch cricket, you watch football, you watch volleyball, you watch it all, and you talk to a lot of people, wide cross section of individuals. What are you picking up? What are you hearing on the ground? What is causing this?
I believe it's just the makeup of society. And if you're not maybe sometimes a person that really wants to see the betterment of your club, your community, and your country. Some people you say, hey, everybody have to look out for themselves. Now I have to work, I have to feed kids, you know. I'm too busy for it. But sometimes you have to make the time to try to assist. Once you have the ability or the means to assist, you need to help somebody up. And that is what I think.
Our friend Denmo always use the term that sometimes people find themselves artificially busy.
Definitely.
Should the government, should the associations and these type of organizations be concerned about this? And should it be something that we start looking at coaching in terms of differently from that level?
The country should be concerned. Basically, we really don't have enough coaches. Okay, if you look from my time, persons who have played with me during my time in football, there's not much coaches out there. And you're talking about a rich time in terms of football ability and football skill, football knowledge. Let me give you an example of coaching with, for instance, Daryl, going away from Parish. Now, Daryl have a unique skill set that, to me, I can't teach.
Right.
Daryl, and most coaches can't teach. Daryl sees space, I always say, he sees space where space don't exist. In other words, he will see space, big space, and I will not see it. Because of the way he played, you know that. Always playing that true ball and that, and so. So I can go and teach or have the team practice playing the true ball. But if I have somebody with his vision and understanding of seeing that space, then he would be better able to teach that aspect of recognizing, playing, and making the run for that true ball. So there's some person that have this unique skill set that is really would be an asset even for a coach, if they're not into fully coaching, to assist the coach in certain aspects.
One of the areas that I know we have fallen short in is that we have some youngsters from England that they normally come down to our club, boys, girls, and by the time they start playing club first 11, it is mandatory that they have to do either one of the C license or whatever sports, cricket, football, but they do the lowest level, or they do umpiring or analysts. So once they move on to any type of county setup, they would have already have some sort of training in coaching, umpiring, scoring, analyzing the game, commentating, that sort of thing. Is it something that maybe the ministry could look at and say, once you represent this secondary level, you have to do some sort of a training, just in case someone likes the game but they don't love it, but maybe they can, because if we do training and we only get one coach every 2 years that plays secondary sports, don't you think that we will have more than enough?
It's something that the ministry really needs to look into. At the same time, it's something that most all the sporting disciplines need to look into also, because this deficit of coaches is not only in football or cricket, it's right across the board. One of the things, I really is not looking at election plug, but one of the things that really and truly, Kenneth, as you know, that vying for vice president of ABFA in the upcoming elections, and one of the things that we really looking at is just what you said. In the youth program, rather having you have training, youth training and things like that. Training for referees, and I'm talking youth now, through the youth program, referees, statisticians, things like that. So basically coaching, little coaching clinics for them.
Right.
How players learn, how you command the drill, you go in and out as a coach, how you stop it, how you start it, in interview, how you interview persons also. These are things we're looking to implement, because you're saying it right. I was never, when I was playing, I used to go coaching courses, the Olympic solidarity courses, and so you used to come here. But that was just all out of my own
Your own interest.
interest. Actually, I went not because I wanted to be a coach. I went because I believe it would help improve my football as a player. But in doing that, it formed the groundwork for the base for my coaching abilities years later. So, something like that, it can help you as a footballer. Because if you understand coaching and tactics and movement, off the ball, with the ball, formation, it can only help you, your knowledge cognitively as a player. And if you're running drills like that over the years, courses like this for youths, just like me, some amount of them will turn out to be referees, maybe statisticians. We want to have more cameraman, media man, things like that. Expose them to a wide variety. Not everybody's going to have the sporting skills, but they might have the videographer skills, the interviewer skills,
exactly,
the referee's passion,
ground preparation, all of these things.
Yes, expose them to everything. Something might grab hold.
You made a point just a while ago as well that I want us to look at, because I think too that the youngsters have to understand it helps your game. Mm-hmm. We went to do a course. There were some people from Australia. I can remember Tim Coyley, and Tooth Byron. They came to do some upskill workshops in cricket. And so Viv was there, we were in Trinidad, and we were doing some drills, showing him some of the things about the workshop and so on, some things that we were doing. And Viv turned and said to them, why did you all show us these things now? Why did you all show us these things when I was playing? I could have used these things and be a better player. Mm. And the gentleman said to Viv, maybe it was a plan. imagine we're exposing you to things like these, in your heyday. It would have been murderous of Viv. So we held them back until you can't harm us anymore. and what Viv was saying is that, wow, these are some things that if I knew these things when I was playing and so forth, it would have helped my game. And I've been to courses more than once, and there are things that I know now about cricket and about bowling and about batting that I didn't know when I was playing because of those courses. And so you're right. You went to some courses because you felt it could have helped your game, and I'm sure it did. And so the youngsters as well, and even the people who we're asking to organize these courses should understand it is not only for after, but it is to help them become better athletes as well, once they understand, like you say, about the sport.
And you can never stop learning. When I went to work alongside Zoran Vanis when he was brought here, I had played for Antigua for 11 years, played the Premier Division, our top division, for 10 years. And Zoran was teaching the future stars, youngsters, proper technique of running, turning, when you're backing up, stop and go forward, coordination and balance drills, proper technique to jump and head the ball. And I played for Antigua for 11 years, as I said. 10 years in the Premier Division. Never learned them things, so I can identify with what Viv is going through. Went through when he saw all these things. 'Cause I was saying the same thing. If I had these kind of training and understanding the proper technique to change direction, stop, going forward, stop and change direction, better coordination, better technique to jump, could have been much better.
Well, I tell you what, and as we discuss this, we're thinking that as coaches, if we know these things when we were playing, it would have probably made us better players. But if we know these things before we start to coach, it is going to be even more important in us understanding the importance of these skills and skill sets. So the question is, how serious do we take coaching in Antigua and Barbuda? From government to associations, to players, to sponsors, to the general public. How serious do we take coaching?
Not serious enough. Not serious enough. From the government viewpoint, you're given a job at the ministry and bam. There is no, well, when I was there and I worked with the Ministry of Sport 1 year, just one season, so I can't say what entails now. As far as I'm aware, it has not changed much. But the coaches there's a lot more that needs to be demanded from the coaches. Proper programs, you need to present it. Proper analysis of these programs. Proper control. You need to tell me, okay, we're running the program now for 2 months. At the end of month one, what it should be your achievement or your basic achievement or goals. After a month, there is oversight to see have you achieved it. Things like that needs to be, these kind of things needs to be put on coaches, and coaches should be obligated to fulfill these mandates that they set out for themselves. To me, your coach, like in the Premier Division, I'm not hitting no coaches. But the bottom line is, a side might come and say, I wanted to coach my team, and they say, $500, just call in the figure. And they say, okay, come. And you're coming. There is no agreement. There is no understanding and assessment of the team and say, listen, with the team you have, I believe with good work, with good effort from your team, at the end of the season we can achieve this or that. Basically it's just, oh, you want a coach, come, this is the amount, that's the next thing. Right now also you have to pay for everything, basically. Well, one of the things with me is in coaching is that I was never paid. Well, the persons who coached me was never paid. The Veran, the Danny, Livingston, you know, I'm talking about club and country. And I can't see people helping me to become the footballer that I became, free. And I am now, instead I pass on their gift that they gave to me, I'm charging for it. No, I'm not hitting everybody. Everybody have to live. So if people see, but to me, if you have a day job, don't go on like coaching is no paid. I agree, and when I went at CV Farm, I said that. Listen, I'm coming from Bartlett all the time. Never said a fee. I said, all I want is gas money from time to time. But that is it. Now, everybody wants pay, and it's in the thousands. But basically, the coaches need to be held to a higher standard. You cannot just coach a team. There is no upward mobility, and then you go on somewhere else on the next job. The clubs, and I'm not talking about football, I'm talking sport in general. If you hire somebody, they need to show progress. Now, a lot of things can happen and you're not progressive. But your team's supposed to be more disciplined, more structured, more organized, basically.
Is that one of the problems, that the coaches are not paid, and so they think that, you know, it is a hard job, and, you know, if you want me to do it, you have to pay me. And on the other hand, that the coaches are being paid, and so clubs don't want to approach coaches because they know they're going to want money and that sort of thing. Is that the problem? Those two situations where on one hand, the coaches are thinking, look, that is a hard work, and if I'm going to do it, I want pay. And on the other hand, some coaches are being paid, and so clubs are afraid to approach a coach because they think they don't have the money to pay.
Well, there's a lot of different problems, basically, and one of them that we have gone through already, there's not enough coaches.
Right.
So if there's not enough coaches, there's a high priority on coaches, so coaches can virtually name their figure a lot of the time.
Right, and so the clubs are afraid to get a coach.
Yes, but that is a problem, really. One of the major problems, as I see it, is the lack of organization and structure of the clubs. Every time we go to coaches. The problem is coaches only coach in an environment that they're given. So if you're coaching in an environment that is not structured and it's not organized, like most of the clubs in most of the disciplines are, well, the coaches will go and do as he pleases. Most of the coaches don't even have a basic contract, a basic agreement. How can you be paying people without a basic written agreement? So you'll understand that the problem really starts from the structure, or lack of structure from the clubs across all disciplines. And this is where the problem is. So it's not coaching. In other words, Kenneth, between me and you, we cannot solve the coaching problem unless we solve the problem with the structure of clubs.
Now, the other thing is that we hear that there's an issue and coaches may say something. Some of us may, you and myself, we may have an issue with it. But should coaches demand higher standards from the community organizations if they're going to go and work for them? And that is probably where the challenge is. Or some coaches just gladly accept and just, or should the coaches put their foot down and say, no, we have to restructure. If I'm going to be coaching here, people can't come and do it. People have to become members. You can't just turn up at practice whatever time you want and leave. But we have to structure this. There have to be a management structure in place for me to coach in this environment.
The coaches can say that and can demand that.
And what do you think would happen?
That's a major uphill battle for that coach. You're trying to organize an organization that should be organized, and it's more than one person. That's an uphill task for the coach.
And what if a lot of the coaches, and so this is where I am going, because you said we can't solve the coaching problem unless we get structure from the coaching organizations, from the managing organizations, that is the clubs and the community groups and so on. What if the coaches were to organize themselves in an association, and we'll come back to whether or not you think it should be one or for each discipline. What if they were to organize themselves now? And the mandate going forward is that we are not working or coaching in these organizations unless they put themselves properly, put the house in order.
That is something that is lacking, and you go all around to come back to that in terms of a coaching association, in whatever discipline, overall discipline. Football has been going at that for years in terms of a coaching organization. Actually, we had a constitution before that we did. We revived it last year over a couple months. The problem is we just can't seem to get it off the ground. One of the problems is everybody will sit back and expect a certain amount of people
to do the work.
A set of people to do the work. But that would be an asset in terms of putting pressure on the different sporting organizations and even the association, the different associations also, the different clubs and different associations to raise their standard and organize better. But different than a body like that to ask me or you to in a club and say, hey, you need to organize yourself better in order for us to go places. But if you have a coaching organization that is doing that, is putting out that and is pushing for that, it would be easier to achieve.
Now, we're going to discuss this and then we're going to take a break because our time normally flies fast when we normally discuss things that we're passionate about. Have a look at it during the break, because we're going to take a short break, but I'm going to give you time to have a look at it. Antigua is a small place. We have different sports, we have different coaches. Probably it hasn't been done anywhere else in the world, but sometimes you look at things and you say, hey, this probably can work. We're having problems, like you just said, you're having problems forming the Football Coaches Association. Should we maybe look at one association to look at coaching?
Well, we should look at all options. So that is definitely
hold the answer, because I'm going to ask you what would be the benefits, the pros and the cons for either one association for the coaches, or every discipline have their own coaching association? Just think about it for a minute. We're going to take a short break just to acknowledge our sponsors for this program, ACB Caribbean. They are our platinum sponsor for Coaches View. 43 years, 44 years or more, they have been sponsoring Parish League cricket. For all your banking and financial needs, ACB Caribbean, visit them today. Brands for Less, they're just opposite the old Deluxe Cinema. Seco Pharmacy, right there on High and Temple Street. Digicel, the bigger better network. Plumbing Electrical Limited, they're bordering on the Potters Herbert's community. Zen Body and Skin Care, they're east of Pickett's, north of Social Security Housing Scheme, and you can call them at 779-4846. Blue Mountain Water, most refreshing water in Antigua. Pine Hill Juice, variety of flavors, Hutchinson Limited on Sir Sidney Wallen Highway is the agent. And Cool and Smooth for all your sporting goods and other accessories, uniform, household items, and so on. You can check them out east of the market complex on Lower All Saints Road. So, the Coaching Association, a national coaching association that looks after all the coaches, maybe one body with different people from different sports making it up so they can represent, or every discipline try to form an association?
Every discipline may be a bridge too far, especially from where we are at now. So maybe that is a novel, a different approach that we need to look at. Because if we can achieve that, that would really be all-encompassing and very powerful association. And really and truly that might be something that we have to look at now. It might be better for all around if we can have one umbrella body and everybody comes down to that.
I tell you what, I spoke to one president of an association, and you know what he said? He said, boy, I would fight that boy. You can imagine one body with all the coaches. You know, they can lock down all the sports in Antigua. And I said to him, I'm not looking at the half-empty glass. I'm looking at the positive side. Because of that, they can raise the standard of sports in Antigua. Because of the unification, because of them coming together, and because of whatever football is thinking from the coaching perspective. Cricket is thinking that, and volleyball and basketball. If we're thinking that, look, you have to have certain levels of coaches, coaching in the schools, coaching in the clubs, coaching the youth teams, coaching the national teams, and so forth. And every national head coach have to be paying X amount of dollars, and all the sports are getting the same thing. Wouldn't that be something? And he's saying, well, and what if the association said no? I said, then we negotiate, ain't it? That is what the body will be there for, not to call strikes and to disrupt the sport, but it will just be, just like you're saying, it will be the same body who goes out and put policies in place as to how we recruit and train the young people so that they come into the coaching system if they're not going to become professional athletes and so on.
Well, definitely. Yeah, but if you look at the president, the first thing, one of the first things he's looking at is the negative. Now, the problem the thing I'm saying is that if you have nothing, and we have nothing in terms of coaching organization, isn't something better than nothing? So if there's a possibility of getting something, the positive of having a coaches association, whether it's on the individual discipline or an overall umbrella body, overshadows any kind of negative that this would bring. This would bring so much positive to sport, a sporting discipline, to all the sporting discipline, all the sporting organization, the government and the country by extension, if we could have some like this. So negative is in everything. Clubs can strike. Clubs exist now. Clubs can get together and say, hey, we're not playing if we don't get X, Y, and Z. Clubs can do that, but they exist, ain't it?
Yes, they do.
And they exist for the betterment of this whatsoever discipline. So can you imagine if you have an organized coach? Because one of the things problem that I have with coaching during the years is that we don't have much coaches that are sent off, and most coaches cannot afford it, basically. But we don't have much coaches that are given the opportunity to go off and training. Now, if you have a coaching association or organization, they would have links, they would have communication and partnership with different coaching disciplines all over the world. That would give an opportunity for exchanges of coaches, things like that. And more coaching courses, exchanges of courses. Most of the courses we have now in football is through CFU, things like that. But if you have a coach in CFU, can you imagine if you get the opportunity, or you get a coach or two coach the opportunity to work along with Manchester United coaching staff for 2 months? I'm just calling a club. It could be in England, Europe, even South America. Can you imagine if you get the hands-on opportunity from a professional organization?
Well, you see, in further the discussion, one of the things that came up was that because there will be incentives set by the Coaches Association, the National Coaches Association. Hey, every 2 years, my head coach needs to go and do some upskill work. And just like you said, for whatever sports, we could touch base with a club. It don't have to be a big organization. It could be somewhere we could touch base with like you say, maybe in England or somewhere in the USA and say, listen, we have our head coach. We know that you start your off-season training. We want to send him along, for 2 months so that he can work alongside your coach and see. I'm sure they will be happy to accommodate. And the fact that you say the National Association will be responsible for finding things so the coach upgrade themselves and become better and make it incentives for other coaches to force their way up to that so they can get that same sort of opportunities. I think that some of the associations are thinking that mean the coaches will be loyal to the coaching organization rather than loyal to us. And I think it is a bit of a selfish kind of a thinking. Rather than looking at growing people, you're thinking about keeping them close to you, loyal to you, so that you can literally do as you like. Rather than saying, look, go and expand your mind, go and better yourself so that when you come back, you can better this particular sport, in Antigua and Barbuda.
Well, I come back to what I said at the beginning about why I went into coaching, because I wanted to give the young players an opportunity, the opportunities that I got, and even more. So I'm not coaching. I didn't go into coaching to say, okay, I want to develop this player to this level. I want to develop this player so the possibility I can see that player either play professional somewhere or coach professional somewhere. Some of the young players that I've coached have gone into coaching now. Like Cheyenne, like Desmond Blue, Zico, like Trini, who is very, very passionate for coaching. And I'll give you a case at Trini in terms of why you need knowledge and understanding as a coach. When Justin Pereira, yeah, that's his name. So
yes.
He used to practice with Superstar. They had assembled a team. And Chini come when he want, practice how he want all the time. And one of the time, two of the local coaches confronted him and said, listen man, you hours late and you don't care what you're doing and how you practice. And Chini tell him, hey, when we wake up, that's when I come. And they were fed up with him, so they drive him away from the team. And Zoran Vanny said, no, leave guy, no, leave him. And the two coaches were very annoyed, and Trini was really discussing. Tell you the truth, I wasn't for driving him away, but he was talented. But something needs to be done. And Van is because of his experience where he come from. And he said, Van is after together. He said, Van is origin. He said, guy had bad habits from young, from club. Can't change him overnight. Van is left Trinity, they don't study him. The team play lesser players is starting, and Trini is on the bench. Well, Trini turned around to be one of the fittest players, one of the most regular practicing player, don't miss practice. He, Desmond Blow, and Bob Jason Gregory from Freeman Village. These three are the three fittest, don't miss practice, hardly miss practice. And Trini is one of the best young coaches out there now, and one of the most hungry coaches to improve and be better out there right now. And I'm saying, you know, looking back at that time with Vanis, suppose they had really driven him away and he had just turned off. And, you know, went back to his club, continued that same bad, you know, habits and behavior. So sometimes you need a lot more knowledge. And I must say, in my time working around Zora and Vanis, I get a lot of knowledge and understanding, not only of the sport, but how you manage people.
I tell you what, you have said a mouthful there. And I can tell you this is something that I am living. There are some very talented players around. And they're talented, they play well, you believe that they can go the distance, just naturally. But, like you say, they're young, they have no responsibilities at home, they get everything done, they're always on their phones, and they turn out to practice when they want. They don't, if you don't force them, they don't warm up, they don't help out with anything around the club, and they think it is okay. And so exactly what you have said, the Super 40 will start on Saturday. Some of them maybe will find themselves on the bench with people of less ability, and they will come and ask the question, Coach, and I will say, boy, this thing's going to go on the work you put in and so forth. Say, not how good you somebody say be, how much work you put in, how fit you are. And I can just imagine that Chini Pereira sat on the bench, and without asking any questions, without anybody telling him anything, he said, 1, 2, 3, and 4 are better than me. So why are they playing in front of me? And he probably figured out for himself. Boy, I think that man probably, you know, they practice more often. I think they come more early. I think they're more disciplined than me. You know what? I'm going to show them. Next game, they can't be in front of me. And that motivates him. That motivated him. I can remember Evie Richardson telling me that when he saw this guy Jarvis made the national team, they told him open for St. John's. He said, Tal, if you can make Andy team, I'm going to put up myself next year. So all we need someday is just to see someone in front of us that we believe shouldn't. And it gives you that sort of motivation. It gives you that now sense of purpose that, hey, I am not working hard enough.
We did, added to that, we did, when I was doing, I think, at a C license in Chindad, and that was done by the English FA. Very, very comprehensive course, training and course. And there's a guy from St. Vincent. I think he's this guy brother, no, Passion.
Okay.
Brother, a young Ras, right. Jed. And we were discussing the game in the different islands, and he was telling the facilitator that the youngsters today don't like the sport. You know, they don't like the sport. The same thing we say, not committing, not practicing or whatnot. And the facilitator tell him, you have to let him like the sport. You're the coach. You have to find ways and means to read this player. You know, and we say that, oh, the youngsters nowadays, them this and that. Yes, but being coaches and being, I go further and say, being executive and clubs, right? Executive of clubs. You have to find ways and means in order to get these players interested. We're living in a different time. The few tools we have here, the few electronic tools, the phone and the different play, this and the FIFA and so. Well, I think that England have them a lot more than us. I think America, the rest of Europe have them a lot more than us. And if their youngsters have access to all that, and they can still be producing great players, then it says that we should be still be producing great players in all our discipline also, once we have the structure and organization in place. Because they don't know here and come with us, the some is being black and being African. Talent in sport is not an issue. It's harnessing it and developing it. That's the issue that we have.
We're going to look at these two issues that we're having, because you touched on it. So I'm going to ask you, if you think as a coach, as Ivan Ninja Luke, a former player, aspiring ABFA vice president, who should really go out and make an effort to get this National Coaching Association together? Who should be the people that, you know, from your view, if you're sitting there and I was supposed to say to you, Ivor, I think this is a good idea, I want to start to make some moves. Who are some of the people that you think that, even if you don't call names, what type of people are we looking for to drive that process?
Well, I think basically if it's a national coaching association, I think the individual association need to start, first off, have dialogue with their coaches. The dialogue can't start, you cannot start the dialogue, football started with cricket, without talking to football coaches. So the football association, volleyball association, basketball association should first have dialogue with their coaches. After it don't have to be all of them. If football, if cricket have dialogue with their coaches and they say, okay, we get some feedback, we have some ideas, and then so you contact maybe basketball and say, listen, we have this discussion, we have this idea about maybe forming a coaches association. You know, we have feedback and whatnot. Would you be interested in it? You know, things like that. And you will do them the same thing. You'll ask them, listen, okay, they look at it favorably. Rather than having dialogue with us, have some dialogue also with your coaching fraternity. What will happen now when we get together and start to talk as associations? Then we have a lot of feedback and dialogue with we know what we are on the same page with our coaches, and we understand what they are saying. The reason they would have to be the main persons to carry that is because none of us individually as coaches, there's nothing. So the only structure that is there presently is the association. The different discipline association, they are the only structure. Well, that's how I see it.
The thing about that is that, and I like that direction, but the thing about it is that will the associations are willing to help, especially if some of them think that a national coaching association would probably expose them, because that was some of the thinking, because you will have to maybe now have more dialogue with the coaches, more negotiations. The coaches will demand more in terms of, you know, their treatment, in terms of what you do for coaches and so on. So I was just wondering if the associations themselves would welcome this, or if they would see the National Coaching Association as something like, almost like a union where they believe that, boy, these people are going to give us a hard time.
Kenneth, we have to look at the positive, and once it outweighs the negative, we have to go with that, the positive. One of the reasons why I am reluctant to say the drivers should be coaches and senior coaches is simply this. In all the discipline, we have coaches and we have senior coaches, but he's not been done. So you're asking the coaches right now to do something that that is even larger, because it's outside their discipline now. It's an overall umbrella body. But so far, we cannot do it even in our own discipline. And you're now asking us to put something together that is even broader than our discipline. If we have not done it to date, and no organization has done it to date, I can't see how we are going to be the genesis of it.
So you're thinking that the associations, but what about people from outside? People who are past administrators who just believe it is about time that the coaches come together, because it is more or less, even though it probably may not make finance be an issue, obviously working condition and all these type of things will come into play. How about if we were to ask some one or two people from maybe the unions just to come together and give us an idea as to how we go about this, because basically that's the type of background you're looking for, because initially it will work almost like a union, just that maybe they'll be a little bit more interactive, have functions and raise funds to assist coaches if they go on courses and bring in people to do courses and send off coaches to courses and so on. They will have those responsibilities. But in terms of the representations and the demands and the associations and so on, we would want to see somebody with a union type of background to actually guide the process. You know, help put that document together that governs the coaches association, that governs the coaches.
That's all right idea. The thing with that is getting persons who have the time and the willingness to make a contribution back. Everybody is busy now, as we said earlier, and so that is also an option. To me, I'm looking at maybe the most viable option, the easiest option, where there is structure already, basically. Because I'm not saying this will be under the umbrella of the head association. So you wouldn't come under the umbrella of cricket, football, basketball, right, tennis, what have you. But because they are organized, well, they are the most organized to any sporting structure that we have presently. Because there is not saying if you're organized, you are so far ahead now. But because from nothing, you may not be so organized.
Right. You're saying if I have no money and I have $1, I have money, but that doesn't mean that I.
Exactly. Not so much money, but you have money, so you have a lot more than me that have nothing.
So saying that associations are more organized doesn't mean that they are well advanced in their organization.
Does not mean they're well organized.
Got you.
It's just way looking at from having a structure to having nothing. And with the Coaches Association now we have nothing.
So at the end of the day, we touch the importance of that. We touch that you don't believe that coaches are taken seriously enough. We don't believe that the respect is given, and we believe a national coaching association can assist. You also believe that clubs right across Antigua needs to be more organized. Who should be responsible for that?
For which part of it? The clubs,
getting the clubs organized, mandating the clubs that if you're not organized, these are going to be the consequences.
Well,
who should be policing that?
Well, basically, how I see it from football, and I've been in football a lot of years. The ABFA has been mandated to run the affairs of football for 4 years, 4-year term. To me, the ABFA should be the one that is overseeing that clubs are duly registered, they're paying their dues, they have a constitution, they have regular elections that the constitution calls for, and ask for their minutes when they have special elections. Ask for the, make sure they have on record the year or the date when your election is due. To me, it's the lead associations should be the ones that ensure that the clubs that come under them, their heading is structured.
But are we seeing that?
Of course not. We're not seeing that.
So why aren't we seeing that? Why aren't the national associations policing the clubs that they govern? Why aren't they making sure that these clubs are well structured and that they're following the mandates that they should be following?
Well, to me, a lot of the associations run like maybe campaign. They look for the fast stuff. Oh, we have this team going there. We have two-man team. We have a youth team practicing. So it's all about team. We put on a coaching course, a little coaching course here, this day, somebody come here, and then you say you're doing work. But if you do all that and you have no structure in your clubs, all that is a waste. That's what we're talking about with the coaching, from the coach's viewpoint. But really and truly, the executive, the general body should ensure that the executive is functioning properly. And if they're not functioning properly, then that general council should pull that executive up. You give them a job, and they should be doing to this level or this standard. At the same time, that executive has a job to manage football or manage the sport for whatever years. They should ensure that the members of this organization are up to standard in terms of their makeup and their operations. There is too much cases even now that clubs gone months and even years without having election. Well, you have a constitution, and the constitution far some way is a legal document, and you're guided by the constitution. So
do you believe that a lot of the associations, because they themselves are not really fully functional, do you think that they're looking at strong clubs are really and truly going to demand of us to be more accountable? Do you think that is something that they don't want, strong club? Because we see a lot of the associations, whenever you have a particular club or two that is fairly organized, they have issues with them when they ask certain questions, when they put forward certain things and so on. Do you think that is one of the problems that the associations are running from? Why they don't want to make sure that all the clubs are structured and functional?
Yes, that's a major issue, because the clubs would be demanding a lot more accountability from you. The clubs will be demanding a lot more explanation of issues from you. And although these are legal and basic things, you still have problem with people like annoyed if you ask about your business. It is not no executive business, no. It's the club's business. The clubs give you a job to run my business. And now I'm asking you, hey, why can you make this decision with my with this business decision here and there? And you are like I should not.
So are you saying it was wrong when the ABFA president took the members of the executive to the magistrate because a club had information about football?
Of course that was wrong. And not because of, who is running or not running. I don't know if those persons, each member of the ABFA executive is duly elected by the clubs.
So they should be telling me about my business.
Not only they should be telling you about your business. If you have an issue with anybody on the executive, carry them back to the employer. Who employed them you're supposed to go to, not no legal person or no lawyer for that matter. The lawyer never employed. The lawyer is not their boss. So I don't see you have a legal obligation to say, hey, don't. And the next thing with that is, only certain time people like they want to go to the Constitution. Basically, and try to make an issue with the Constitution. But you should be asking the club. The club have a right to ask their business.
Ivor Luke, it's 4 o'clock. We have to bring you back for part 2. This definitely is heading in the right direction. We want to wish you all the best. If we don't see you before the ABFA general elections sometime in April, we want to wish you well. We want to wish you all the success. And to all of those who have been viewing, who've been listening, we want to say thank you very much. We hope that you have learned. We hope that you can encourage others to get involved with sports, with coaching, with refereeing, with whatever aspect of sports that they want to get in. And to our sponsors again, we want to say thank you very much. We will see you next week for another ACB Caribbean Coaches View. Kenny Benjamin saying, have a good afternoon.